Alright, hello class. Today we're going to be learning how to create an animation in Google Presentation. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to open up Google Chrome and open up our drive. We've talked before that you want to make sure that your drive is very organized, that you have all sorts of folders. So you want to go into your Digital Photography and Design folder. Then you should have a folder that you label Google Present Animation. And in Google Present Animation, we're going to open that. And then we are going to create a new document, but we're actually going to create a presentation. So open that up. Now it's going to give you the option of multiple themes. We want to stick with the simple light or the simple dark if you want a black background. And that's completely up to you. Because I like the idea of having a white background like paper, I'm going to click the simple light and OK. Now, so we don't lose or get less organized, we want to make sure we rename our document. And this first animation that we're going to make is just Red Ball Bouncing Animation 1. So this is just going to be a simple animation. We can get rid of the text. We will not need it. We only will be needing the things that we draw. So the first thing that we're going to do is kind of go through the tools up here that we may not usually use. Now you are always using your select tool. If you hover over it, it says select and then escape. We have the text box. You're used to using the text box as well because that's what we always type in for our presentations. We can upload an image. Now if we in the future decide that we want to hand draw some backgrounds, scan them into the computer and then put them as a background, we can actually upload the image as a background. But for right now we're just going to be having a red ball bouncing. So we're going to be using the shape tool and the line tool. So first, just to give us some sort of base, so we know where our baseline is, we're going to just use the line tool. So we're going to draw a line. You can make it an arrow, you can make it a curve, an arc, a scribble, whatever you like, but I'm just going to go with a nice straight line. Now, when we click and have a line like this, it can go any which direction. We won't know its level, but if you push the Shift key, it will make sure that it's at a very specific angle. So always push the Shift key if you want to go straight across. And see, no matter how I put it, it's going to go to fixed points instead of otherwise it can go anywhere. But we want to make sure we push the Shift key. We want to go all the way across and we want to let go. Now that it's highlighted, we can actually change the width of it, and because we're doing this animation we want to be able to see it. So we can go with line color. So say I want to have a blue table, or I want to have maybe the impression of grass by making it green. I can pick green. Then we have line weight. This is really important for future animations. If you want things to look smooth, you want a smaller pixel line weight. But for right now, since we really want to see it, I'm going to go 12 pixels. I'm going to go nice and big. And then, if I want to make it dotted, I could do that. If I wanted to make it dash dot dash, I can do that. But for right now, I'm going to keep with a solid line. You can also play with putting arrowheads on it. You can put different dots on it if you want it to have something at the end or the beginning, as you can see right there. Again, it's all up to you if you want to play around with a couple of these. So I am going to just have a straight line. And that's a little high up, so I'm going to drop it down. Then I'm going to click outside of the line, and there we go. We have our first line. Now we're going to actually make our little red ball. We're going to go to Shapes, and you have a choice here. You can use the circle in the shapes, you could use the donut in the shapes, you could use the no symbol, you could use the smiley face, just something round. So I'm actually going to go with just the red ball shape. Now if I just draw the shape, it can be an oval, it can be anything, but again, if I push the Shift key, it will make a perfect circle. So I want my ball to be not too big, but about yay big. So that way I can actually experiment with having it move. Now when you have shapes, you can have a fill color. So because I titled this Red Ball Bouncing, you can make it blue ball bouncing, whatever you want, green ball bouncing. I'm going to go with red ball. So there we go. We have our first red ball. So now I have the ball. I have the line, and now we are ready to actually start playing with it. So right now I'm using the arrow keys to move the ball, but I want to start it all the way over at the edge and maybe a little off the edge. So this would be an open composition right now. And I'm going to start it so that it actually is touching the green line and going off the edge a little bit. If you preview over here on the side, you can actually see what it'll look like in the animation. So it's just touching the green line, just starting. Now what we do is we select the slide on the side, we push Control Copy, which is Control C, and then Control V to paste. And as you can see now I have two slides. The next thing that I'm going to do is in my second slide, I'm actually going to move the ball up over with the arrow keys and up. So it looks like it's starting to bounce. So I'm going to go over 1, 2, up 1, 2. By using the arrow keys I can actually control very specific increments, which makes my life a little bit easier. So now that I have that one moved, I'm going to Control C, Control V, the whole slide. Then on this new slide I'm going to go over 1, 2 with the arrow keys and up 1, 2. Then again, Control C, Control V. Then again, 1, 2, 1, 2. Control C, Control V. 1, 2, 1, 2. Control C, Control V. Oh, and if I make a mistake, just like I did there, I accidentally moved it down with the arrow. I just push Control Z. Magically, those slides are the same. So, again, because I know my exact increments, I know that it's still just 2 over, 2 up. Now, I'm not going to have a really high bounce. I think that right about here is the highest that I want the ball to go. So I just need a couple more slides. Alright, so that's the highest I want the ball to go, but let's see how that looks. So you'll go to the first animation, the first slide you made, and just toggle down. So right now I see that it has a really nice trajectory. It's actually going in a really nice, believable way. So now I'm going to have it start to come back down, and then I'm going to have it go up one more time. So now, because I went up 2 over 2, now I'm going to copy my slide again, Control C, Control V, and instead of going over 2, up 2, I'm going to go over 2, down 2. And I'm going to see how that looks first. Well, that looks like too sharp of a decline right there. See how quickly that goes? So I think I'm actually going to copy this slide and just have it go over 2, so it kind of hovers in the air there a little bit. And then I'm going to delete that one that I made, copy this new one, and have it go over 2, down 2. Let's see if that looks a little bit better. Oh yeah, see, that's much more gradual. It's a lot more believable. For animations, the more slides you do, the better it's going to be, especially with little motions. That's what's going to make the animation look smooth. So if this ended up being 450 slides of this ball moving, it would be very, very smooth. So I'm going to just keep doing over 2, down 2. Then I'm going to copy it and paste it. Over 2, down 2. Copy, paste. Over 2, down 2. Copy, paste. Over 2, down 2. Not very exciting with just the ball. When you have more pieces, it will be quite a bit more exciting. So I'm almost there. Awesome. So now I'm going to let it kind of sit right there at that stage for a couple slides. So I'm going to copy, paste, paste again, and maybe on this one I'll have it kind of sink in a little bit. We'll have it pop back up. And then I'm going to repeat the process. I'm going to have it go up, over 2, down 2, or over 2, up 2, over 2, up 2, until I get to about here. Then over 2, down 2, over 2, down 2. So I'm going to speed through that, and then I'm going to let you see the finished animation in just a second. So let's do that real quick. Over 2, up 2. Over 2, up 2. Control C, Control V. Over 2, up 2. Control C, Control V. Over 2, up 2. Control C, Control V. Over 2, up 2. Over 2, up 2. Oh, Control Z. And always keep checking, previewing your animation. So you click back to the very beginning. Okay. Over 2, up 2. And I actually want to check to see how high it went before. So the highest it ever goes is about here. So right here actually where I estimated before, that's where I'm going to try to get it to go. So it's got to go just a little bit higher. And remember, when it gets to the top, I want to make sure that I just go over 2 and not down 2 right away. I want it to kind of hover there in the air. Now I can go over 2, down 2. Now remember, when it hits the bottom, I want to make sure I have it hover there for just a second. So I want to make sure that I have 2 slides back to back of that. Then I want it to dip down just once so it looks like it hits the ground. Oh, make sure we click over there. And I want it to go back up. And then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to have it go up again. So over 2, up 2. Control C, Control V. 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 Over 2, up 2. Control V. Over 2, up 2. Remember, I'm going to let it hover here for just a second. And then I'm going to have it just go over 2 instead of going down. And this time, I'm actually going to let it go right off the page. And even though we have the temptation that now that it's reached the edge to just kind of like push it off screen, we don't want to do that. We want to keep doing over 2, up 2. Because it still will have that realistic motion. And there we go. That is our complete animation. So let's see how it looks. We just toggle through. So it goes up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So it looks pretty convincing. There's a couple little areas where I might want to fix, like right here. Looks a little weird in some places, but that's the basic gist of how to make your red ball bouncing. So your first assignment for tonight to bring into class tomorrow is to make the red ball bouncing animation. And once you do that, you can move on to the next lesson. Thank you and happy animating!